welcome to the Garden of Femme Occulte. I'm Belladonna, and I'm here today with Oleander, Papaver, and Datura in our chat on women's mysteries. And we came to this topic probably during our last Twitch stream, which was last Sunday. This time we are streaming on a Saturday. And of course, after the stream will be finished, it will be published on our Twitch account for 2 weeks, I believe. And then we will also post it on our YouTube. So you can also watch it as a recording if you would like to from our YouTube Femme Occulte. Yeah, well, so girls, welcome. And probably on the beginning, I will mention that we were talking about, before we started this chat, before we started the stream, we were talking about if we have notes, if we are prepared for this talk. And I'm usually the one who is initiating the streams, so I usually have some notes, questions, topics that we can cover. But this time I approached it a little bit differently because I was thinking that making notes and making some kind of structure and putting some rationality into it is not that much woman part of mysteries, so I decided that this time I will go with the flow. And I also knew that girls are really, really excited about this topic and that they will have some notes ready. So today it will be more probably on you and your notes, your questions, your topics, what we will be covering. And so for the beginning, I'm writing articles about women's mysteries for our Femme Occulte quarterly magazine, and of course from the last year it's also included in our book Liber Magicae I. Sorry for the lighting, I didn't close the cartoons in my window, but it will change during the evening, I believe. Well, so I have only one starter question. And then it will be in your hands. So the starter question from me is, what are actually women's mysteries? Women's mysteries. Yeah, so who would like to start this time? We have a different setup today. We are a little bit mixed. Usually Datura is next to me on the top of the screen. Today it's Oleander. So, but anyway, Datura is usually starting the talk, so she's used to it. Will you start today again, please?
I tried to hide, but it didn't work. Sure. I think it's a very complicated question, isn't it? And it's a very hard one to start with. But there is a lot of things that are very strange about being a woman, and it is an experience that is untransferable to other women, and therefore it is mysterious because a lot of it happens on the inside and only has to be and can be lived, even though there are things that many of us go through, or most of us go through over the course of their life. Many of them are still covered in secrecy, not only because we don't talk about them as in a taboo way, but many of them are not remembered very well, are not very well transferred in words. For example, if I may use you as an example, you are a mother. I'm not. And you know that I asked you very impertinent questions at some point, because those are not questions you normally get to ask. Those are not things that get written about in books, or the doctor will tell you. So the only way to actually experience them is to experience them by living through them. And therefore, I guess it's mysteries, because it is something that has to be deeply experienced, not transferred by word or story, I guess. That's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
Okay, guys, do you want to continue? Maybe Oleander?
No, I think it's a very good answer. But it is, because it is. I agree with everything, and especially with regards to, giving birth, being pregnant. I heard a lot of different stories, and they are different. There's no one way of experiencing, so you don't know what to expect unless you go through it. So it is mysterious, and I agree that it's not talked about, that it is still a little bit, maybe not taboo, but it's kind of uncomfortable topic to be discussed. It's kind of rude to ask questions or something, but of course you want to know what will happen and what you will encounter, how to prepare. So I think it is important, but for some reason it's kind of not discussed enough.
And Papaver?
Okay, maybe I'll contribute with the perspective of an anthropologist. In traditional societies, when we speak about coming of age rituals, they are mainly for boys. There are some that are celebrated by girls, but the boys are kind of more important and they are widespread. And the reason is very simple, and it was actually answered by Datura already, because these mysteries don't
Aye.
have to be marked because inside, and they happen anyway. But the transition has to be marked by the society from the outside by a ritual. Well, with the girls, it's not so. It's just marking, commemorating, or something like that. But the change happens anyway.
That's quite a good point, because when I was answering to myself that question, because before I ask you something, I'm trying to answer it as well, if it's even possible to answer it. I was thinking that women mysteries is everything that is that can be happening to you only if you are a woman. All those transitional rituals that you are going through as a woman. And I was also thinking about the male mysteries or men mysteries, about which I can't know enough because I can't go through them or feel them and so on. And there's definitely still, I believe, even in a nowadays society, some kind of crossings that the men are going through as well. But that's something that we can't grasp, as well as they can't grasp women's mysteries. So yeah, it's definitely something that you can't pass on or to tell to someone else totally in depth. And in this, it's similar to me as some kind of magical mysteries even, or during performing magic and having some kind of feelings of sacred and connections to different deities, beings, nature, and so on. These are the feelings that people have to go through. And last time, Papaver, you were talking about the initiation, that sometimes it's maybe better to not to spoil everything and not to warn somebody. And then the feeling, then the way you're going through is just so true and so based on your own core and your own life, that it's a very, very strong experience afterwards. So those were my thoughts around it, around women's mysteries. Yeah, Datura wants to say
Well,
something.
if I may, yeah, I do. I think there is a big difference. First of all, we're not talking about men's mysteries because it's now not our place, not because we don't recognize that they are. But what I wanted to say, I think there's a difference between having mysteries as in magic or spirituality, and then having gender mysteries, because spirituality and magic is not something you are basically forced into going through. It is not something that's inevitable if you're healthy. It is something you choose, and therefore not spoiling initiation processes and things is a different thing than not talking about things that are inevitably going to happen to you.
If you are a woman, yeah.
Yeah,
Most
or a
likely.
man, but
Yeah. Do you think that it should not be covered so much in mysteries, so much in mystery, that it should be more talked about openly? Like I was writing in an article for the summer issue that is coming during this month. You can pre-order it on our website, www.femmeocculte.com. I'm sorry, I didn't really sleep tonight, so because I'm a mother. That's one of the mysteries that you can then go through. Yeah, you will find the link below the video for sure. Anyway, do you think, as I wrote there, that we should basically be comfortable to talk, for example, about our cycle and so on. That's my opinion. But to not to make it like pompous, to not to make it something super extra special, but to just have it in the level of normality, in the level of something that is common, that is nothing that people should be like, oh, about, and so on. Do you share this opinion, or where is your kind of place on this
Well,
scale?
I can begin with a story, which I think you especially know, but maybe the girls don't, and especially not our viewers. But when I was growing up as a girl, this wasn't talked about at all. It was very covered in secrecy. I used to spend half of the year at my grandma's in Bulgaria, and when I turned 11, she came to me and she very covertly asked me, very like shyly, so have you had your days yet? And I was just like, what is it, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, then you haven't, so that's fine, forget it. And we never talked about it again. And then a year later I got my first period, and I had a tiny little book from my parents which I read cover to cover, but again, the writing of the book never transfers what happened. So when I started my period, I was very ashamed. And I remember I spent maybe the next half year, each month, I would stuff my panties with rags and toilet paper and not even tell my mother that I was bleeding. And I know other stories of women who were actually scared of what was happening to them because they didn't know. Like my mother was one of them. She when she got her first period, my grandma never talked about it to her, and she told me that she was scared and she thought that she was dying and that she did something wrong, and she was scared that the grandma would punish her for not taking care of herself or for doing something wrong. So I think that normalizing it, at least to the point where the woman does not feel shame or fear or any kind of negative feelings, should be done. I don't think you should talk about like every gross detail with everybody, but at least to the point where you normally say, I'm going to the toilet. That's normal. You don't have to say exactly what you experienced there and how it's going to go, but you talk about going to the toilet. I need to pee. And it's done. And nobody bats an eye.
Yeah, do you think that it's because of we all go to pee? While
But half of us
menstruation is-
menstruates, so
I think even more than half. I think it's more women on the world than men. Just saying.
I'm sorry, but you know what I mean.
If there was a vote.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't go and say, I'm going to do a ritual to every person you meet, because that's something that is, first of all, sacred, and not everybody does it. But if there is like a majority of people in the world who do have periods, then it should be normal. And as women, we live with men or with other women or men with men, but generally it touches everybody's life sooner or later, either by proxy or by from the inside.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, would you like to add on anything?
I loved your article. I think it's brilliant and it's important to talk about it. And it is just really such a good article, really. And to continue with what Datura was saying, when I was a girl getting my first period, I also didn't know. And I was embarrassed, not because I got my period and I didn't know what's going on, but because other girls knew and I didn't. So it was like not being part of some club. They were talking about something. I didn't understand the terms, the expressions, and I felt very excluded. And when my mother was explaining to me, she explained it in a very casual way, like it's a sort of hygiene problem. there was nothing mysterious about it, nothing so important, nothing deep. It was just, oh, you just, something happens to you once a month, you have to clean a little bit, you have to kind of do this, that, and that's it. So it was nothing magical, nothing like, it's like, it didn't have any deep importance for me. So it wasn't even that transition or initiation or anything like that. It's just, you just have to deal with it. You know, you're a woman, tough luck, something like that. And also to say about, okay, half of us women, we experience it, men don't, so maybe they don't understand. But in my personal experience, I actually encountered more understanding from men than from another woman in terms of how I experience the period. Is it like very painful? Do I feel like doing something or not, or whatever? Because sometimes another woman, and I'm coming from Balkans, and there I speak in a very broad general terms, but there it's kind of, you have to suffer through something and not really complain a lot. That's considered very, very good. Everything else is very, very bad. So if you do say something like, oh, you know, I don't feel like this, or I'm really in pain, or I can't do this, then you're like, really? Like, I go through the same, I can do it. Why are you complaining? You know, stuff like that. I never experienced that from a man. Never anything like, oh, what you're experiencing is like not important, or it's not like enough. Never. But from another woman, yes.
Okay, that's quite interesting. I will get to that point as well in a minute. Well, Papaver, would you like to continue, or will I read what we have in the chat for now?
Actually, now the conversation shifted a little bit, so I wanted to add something that was before, but we may move on.
Okay, and you don't have a note, so you don't know where it was.
Not for this. I've got notes. Maybe we'll get to them later.
Yeah, I'm usually trying then to remember the word that will trigger what I wanted to say, and then it disappears with another word, and so on and so on. It's rolling this way always. Well, we have here in our chat new people, so welcome, and also thank you everyone for joining us in a chat and for joining us in our followers. Nonistic is asking, I would like to get into the occult, but I struggle with forcing myself to believe in it. Well, I believe that it is important to not to force yourself into anything like this. Anyway, today we are talking mostly about women's mysteries, so maybe some other time we will talk about forcing ourselves into some things in magic or practice and so on. Or, okay, we have a connection.
I may say something. Just a very short answer. Maybe ask yourself why you are trying to get into something you don't believe in. Rather than actually asking how to make yourself believe in something, ask yourself, why do you try to do something you don't believe in?
Yeah, and then Darklefire is texting hello, so good to see you all. Hello, so good to see you guys in chat as well. So would you like to continue on like a menarche or a first period talk, or would we move also to a different part of the mysteries that is this part of the screen, mine and Papaver, since we are moms. I believe today it's just not focusing on me. Hi, camera. I'm here. I believe I could maybe mention why did the whole article on menstruation actually was created. It was basically triggered by an article that I wrote last year for our last year quarterly, and that article is called Power of Blood. You can find it in our Liber Magicae. I believe that we have one last piece in English at Datura's place. So if you would like to get it, there's one last piece in English language. Anyway, we would like to reprint it sometime during autumn this year. And after I wrote Power of Blood, where I'm talking about like a magical or this kind of use of my menstrual blood for getting rid of pain, for some magical things, for some divination tools, and so on. I've got plenty of messages and plenty of answers from my friends and other women talking about that their menstruation, their cycle doesn't really have this kind of sacred element as exactly as you were talking about it, Oleander, that there's something spiritual missing to it. And I believe that it can simply happen if you are just told like, yeah, just deal with it somehow. Yeah. On the other hand, isn't this exactly the way that isn't there the magic in the blood thanks to that you thanks to that you are not talking about it that much, thanks to that it has that kind of taboo or silence included?
I can say something, but I've been talking a lot, so.
I just want to say that maybe at this time it's not really taboo, because when my daughter got her first, and I wanted to just talk to her nicely in a friendly way, she had already known and learned everything from friends and from the internet. So otherwise, I would say that definitely yes, but I don't know how to keep it secret today. Just can't imagine that. Only the personal experience, but the personal experience is always private, and even talking or reading stuff on the internet would not change that.
I think there is a difference between keeping it a secret as something that happens biologically, but of course there can be power in keeping a secret the cycle or the part of the cycle you are currently in, and working with that energy and just not sharing it with the world if you choose so. Of course, it would be nice to be able to be completely open about it if you like, and not get weird stares. But then again, there can be power in using your own state of body and mind, because there is both. There is hormones, there is the psychology and everything. So it's very holistic. But in that sense, yes, keeping it a secret can be powerful, but it shouldn't be kept a secret from women, because I think we live in a society where it's normalized. When I was a girl, and I'm also from the Balkans, so that was a different society, more conservative, more not very sharey. And my mom, who was actually the one who should have passed me the knowledge herself, because she was the bearer of the secret. She didn't, because her own mother never actually really passed the secret on to her. And she had to experience it and explore it on her own, and then retroactively talk to her mother about it, as did I in the end, which is very very pass-on-y. So if I had a daughter, I would try to make sure that I got to her a little bit sooner than the internet, because nowadays they will find out. They will find out, but it's still something that I would like to break in my female line.
I would say that it is exactly that. Okay, you might have plenty of information from everywhere, but then basically when it happens, to whom are you going to? You go to your mom at some point. Sometimes not straight away, sometimes yes. My case was like, oh wow, yes, it's here. Hey mom! Hey mom, I started my period. And my mom was like, okay. started calculating with all these things like, oh yeah, now she will have pain, now we will have to get the stuff, and who knows what she knows, because I knew everything already. I was among those people. That's why I was so shocked by all those answers to that first article. That's why I was like, I thought this was happening 200 years ago. Yeah. And that, like, everybody got a proper sex education at school, as I did. Yeah, I knew everything, all the anatomy, everything of mine and men as well. Everything from from I don't know, from since I was 11 or so. And yeah, so yeah, so I was on the opposite side. I was like super excited, knowing everything, and it made it much easier for me. Even though the reaction of my mom was kind of cold to me, yeah. But yeah, I believe that it's still very important to have that connection between the mother and the daughter, because to create a safe space for the child.
Exactly, but
If I-
you have no.
Yeah, let's let Papaver for a minute.
Just wanted to say that you never know what will happen, because we are not talking about women in general, but about two distinct women, although they are mother and daughter. You never know about these reactions. For example, my conversation with my daughter, well, she just informed me. She's quite rational, intellectual girl. And I told her, well, here it is. I wanted to give some information, inform her about the possible discomforts and things like that. And she told me, oh, I'll be fine. So again, and there was nothing else to talk about. She knew everything. She already bought stuff.
Yeah.
So she just gave me a report that
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, I was also totally equipped when I came to my mom. I was like, yeah, I know everything. All good. Yeah, but then the
So
pains.
no mystery sharing these days.
But for me, then the pains came, and that was like a completely different experience than I was expecting, and so on. Anyway, if you would not mind, I would make a tiny break, because of my husband is just texting me that my little daughter needs me now for a minute. So if you would not mind to make 5 to 10 minutes break now, and we would be back at about 35. Would it be okay with you girls?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, thank you. So I will just put the break on. Okay, and we are back. So we had 1 extra minute before jumping back, so we gave it a little bit of structure of who wants to talk about what. So I know as well as starting this talk. So I would pass a word for now to Oleander and her notes that we decided that would go as first.
Okay, thank you. Well, I just wanted to share the process of since everything started for me and I got my first period and I was very young, and then high school, how other girls experienced their period. So for me and my friends, it was something that we used more as an excuse when we were like small kids. You don't want to do your physical education or whatever, and you use it as an excuse. So it was more like this experience of, oh, it's like a period where I should be spared because I'm experiencing something very painful, and it's like I shouldn't be doing heavy stuff or something like that. But then in high school, a lot of girls, they were really experiencing a lot of pain. So you could, like, there's no way you could fake that. It's just not possible. And they were really in a lot of pain, or they would be having like very heavily bleeding. I had some pain, but compared to them, I wouldn't say that I was in like excruciating pain, but I did take like sometimes painkillers. But the pills that I actually wanted to mention was like birth control pills,
Mhm.
which were very popular, like in my circle of friends and like people I know. And the girls started using them very early. And even like my personal opinion is that they are not really necessary. There's like other ways of birth control. And as a person I was also taking them for 1 year, and I can say that the changes that I experienced in my body and in my psyche, not only in the body, they were negative. They were not good. It just, but it's so advertised. It's so trendy, and when you are in these years when you're kind of very impressionable, I was just impressionable, kind of, kind of a girl. And you see like, oh, everybody's taking them, everybody's saying it's great, you like, you know, skin gets clear, you don't have any pain, you know exactly the date when you have your period, how long it will last, like everything is like so smooth, so brilliant. Then you go to a doctor, and doctor, I mean, you're so young, you're healthy, there's nothing wrong with you, and doctor is not even like having a second thoughts. He just, yeah, here, have it, there you go. Then it's on you. It's like your job to go and explore and investigate, go to the internet, find out about the, you know, side effects and all of that, which I did only after a year of taking them. So it's like maybe 19, 20 when I started taking them. And after a year, I actually decided to explore in depth, you know, what's wrong with them, because there was something definitely wrong. First of all, like if I may be open in this space, like my period wasn't a period. Like the blood wasn't like it's supposed to be, like a normal. So there was something wrong on a physical level there. And then the mental part, that I was like cut off from experiencing fully my emotions and my states, experiencing fully the joy. Like my libido was very low in the period when I was taking this pill. So definitely there is connection between normal healthy cycle and these experiences that just get kind of paused or diminished in the period when you're taking pills. So I stopped taking the pills, and then I investigated a little bit how to come back to a healthy cycle, because your whole body is on a pause. And I only took them for a year. And there's like girls who take them for 10 years, 15 years. And then in their 30s, they're like, oh, now I would like to have babies. And stop taking them. Your body was just on pause for 15 years. Because when you do take these pills, your normal cycle just don't happen. It doesn't happen. So first, I took some teas and plants for detox, and probably Datura knows much more and much better than me. I took nettle tea and dandelion root, and after that, I found 3 plants that were actually very beneficial in dealing with regulating menstrual cycle, and like to help with like premenstrual syndrome, like less pain and less everything, and kind of, you know, to go back to normal. And these plants for me, they were lady's mantle. That's the first plant, and I recommend it literally to every single one of my friends who complains about any sort of like discomfort or issue with menstruation. I always say this plant is like, it really helped me. The other thing I took is primrose oil, and I think that's kind of general knowledge. Like you can even buy it in like every in the booths here, or in DM in Germany and Czech Republic. It's like everywhere. And then the third one was Vitex agnus castus. That's not that much popular, but this plant actually helps with balancing hormones in the body. And I also have to say that when I was taking all these plants, I was not on any sort of medication, because some of them do interfere. So if anybody's using any sort of medicine, like they should be very careful with them. But I wasn't. And I used these plants for almost 6 months, and they really helped me. And after that, my cycle went back to normal. I had absolutely no issues regarding PMS. Everything, like it's been like 10 years already, and everything, I'm healthy. There's no issues. Like it's just working properly without any pills, without medication, and that was my experience. And in this process of getting rid of the pills and trying to go back to a healthy cycle, that is when I realized how important it is, what it means for me, how important it is that it's healthy, uninterrupted, that it's not separated from the health of my body. It is my body, it is my health, and it's so important. So that's how I kind of accepted, and now I regard it as something really important and kind of sacred.
I absolutely agree with basically everything you said. I have a little bit different experience, but very similar. Here in the Czech Republic, where I am, it's customary that when a girl gets her first period, they go to a gynecologist to get checked up, and then they start their yearly like preventive exams and stuff. And when I turned 13 or 14, I went to my doctor, and she like asked me, well, how's your period? When was your last period? And is it regular? And I said that it isn't regular, that it sometimes takes 3 weeks, sometimes it takes 4 weeks, sometimes it takes 5, because first of all, I didn't count very much, but second of all, it was like wonky. But I was 14. And the doctor's like, well, do you want me to prescribe you the pill? It will help your cycle be more regular. And I was just like, okay, because like I didn't know anything, so I took the pill. And I took the pill for like until I was 21 or so. And every time I went to my doctor and she would look at me and say, you have some pimples. Are your pills working well? Should I prescribe you a different one? Maybe to help with your skin. And then when I was 19, your boobs look a little bit bigger. Is that the pill? Maybe we should try a different pill to regulate, you know, the size of my breast. And after that, when I was like 19, 20, I was like, I'm done. I'm done taking a pill to regulate what's basically a normal thing. And it took me a long time to actually do my research, because I was just like a teenager. I was naive. And when I turned 20, I was just like, why do I even take this? There are different ways of actually achieving what the pill is supposed to achieve, which is birth control. I wasn't in a serious long-term relationship, and taking the pill every day just to regulate normal bodily functions at that point seemed like ludicrous to me. And then I realized that basically I hadn't had a normal period since I was 14, and my body never actually learned to have a regular period. My doctor never even tried to figure out why I didn't have a regular period, whether there's something wrong with me, whether that's normal. Now I'm in yeah, just get the pill. You're 14, irregular, get the pill. Now I'm in my 30s now, and my cycle is just longer. It's my cycle is like 32 to 34 days, sometimes less, sometimes more. It's still a little bit irregular, and to this day I don't know whether it's because that's natural for me, or because there's something wrong with me that my doctor just tried to solve with progesterone. And now I hear a lot of my friends who are having kids and or like had older kids and older girls, and I am every time I hear, well, when she gets her period, and she will get the pill, and she will get the pill. I was like, why do you even consider stuffing your daughter with hormones when she's not even at that point yet? First of all, when she would need birth control, not actual like regulation of skin tone, or that's not skin tone, but quality of skin, when we don't even know what it does to us, because we have to go back in history to when the pill was actually released, which was, as far as I know, very expedited. It never got the clinical research that many other medications have or have to have, and we take it to this day. And then the conspiracy theorist in me like lights up a little bit, and I ask myself whether there is a certain ingredient to it that is of controlling femininity, or trying to control femininity, or to rein it in, to structuralize something that has a structure but has a very flowy structure that we ourselves tend to learn to understand our whole lives, because our lives change with the first menstruation, then motherhood, everything is different, and then as we get older, it changes again. So there is no stability, like as far as I understand men have, who are not subject to hormonal changes on a monthly and yearly and cycle basis. So I'm asking myself whether the invention of the pill in a way is a way or an attempt to control the vortex of femininity, if that makes any sense. Because it's the first thing we're offered at the doctor to this day. It's just like, you have pimples, have the pill.
That's horrible, because I'm older than you, and in my generation, birth control pill was, well, it is a birth control pill. So you took it when you had a husband or a boyfriend or somebody you wanted to have regular sex with, and you wanted to be safe in that. And I didn't take it only because it just doesn't work with my brain to take something regularly. So I actually tried, but I remembered one day, then 2 days I completely forgot, and then I just gave it up. So problem solved, no mystery. Yeah, but it was at the time when I had a sexual partner. That was the only reason. So in my generation, in like late 80s and early 90s, as far as I know, but maybe I'm just ignorant, but as far as I know, the girls took it only from this reason, not for regularity of the menstrual cycle. No. That's really, it's horrible. And you maybe, it's horrible for you, but you probably grew up in that thinking, but I didn't. And for me who didn't, it really sounds like something obscure, and you planted a seed of conspiracy theory in my head now too.
Sorry.
Well, I believe it simply became a normality to do so, to have the pill. That like an easy answer to the women mysterious behavior and hysteria, which is also a label as well. I was somewhere in between because I started taking pill because of I had a partner already, and yeah, but I was suffering from really bad pains, like fainting and not be able to move and just not be able to hold or nothing, just really complete collapse of the body. And it was never offered to me as an answer. Yeah. And
You're
then
lucky.
yeah, and then when I wanted a pill, hi koťátko. Then when I wanted a pill, I had to go through several blood tests to actually get it. But I have to say that our gynecologist is a family friend, so that's also maybe something different. And yeah, I was taking pill for quite a while, and I had different problems because of pills. So I stopped as well because of I figured that my psyche is not really feeling well, that my legs are getting a little bit heavy, and that the blood is not really a blood but some kind of rather mud, to say it this way. And yeah, so I changed at some point into different pill, some like newer version that is not so heavy that my doctor offered me. But yeah, when I stopped taking pills, I started to see where all those problems were coming from in my psyche and so on. And I started that kind of cleansing process, which was very painful as well. And I must say that I'm among those women who had to have a baby to get rid of the pain in the extent of really fainting from pain and being really in loads of trouble and being scared every month. actually. But I was also writing about it in that first article, that what helped me as well with those pains was painting with blood, to like consciously go through that time of period and take time for yourself and to do something for yourself by just sitting and painting some symbols that are connected to femininity and to thoughts that you have in that time. And as well, I was taking the primrose oil. That helped me a lot afterwards. Yeah, but what you have as an experience, I've heard about it from plenty of women who are younger than me a little bit, and yeah, it is quite horrible. And on the other hand, yeah, it's again the thing of not passing enough information. Maybe because of our mothers didn't take pills, or I guess maybe yours did since you are younger. But yeah. So they couldn't know, they didn't have the experience to pass on, they didn't have the secret that is behind it and that we had to uncover, and this one wasn't really pleasant one.
I just wanted to mention something that's also very interesting to think about in terms of women's mysteries and like medical problems. If you look at the medical field and clinical trials, many clinical trials historically and to this day don't use many women for ethical reasons. They never use pregnant women, so a lot of medicine is mysterious for women in the way that it has never been tried on women. It has mostly been tried on men. So many doctors are basically scared to search for solutions for women's problems because those, for ethical reasons, are not researched very much. You cannot have a woman who has menstrual problems. You cannot test trial a medicine to help her because you may make her infertile. So most of the medicines are tried on men to just make sure that they're safe in general, on a stable body, on a body that is unchanging. Which this is not a slur against men. It's how medicine works. Most of the medicines are tried on men because those are bodies that don't change, and then they are retrospectively applied for women. But there is very little medication that can actually help with gynecological problems because those medicines are very hard to test and come by and just invent because you can't actually test them on women.
Well, on one side, this is kind of sad. On the other side, that tells me somehow that the ability to have children and to reproduce is still so valued. Yeah, that's still such a power that women have, that it just nobody is willing to kind of risk it in any way for any woman. Yeah.
It's true, but then you have the pill, like the birth control pill, and it's basically become a cure-all because it's the only thing, or not only thing, but one of the few things that actually work on the female organ. And that's why it's used for everything from pimples to irregular cycles and everything. So it's beautiful that it's so important, and that ethically and morally nothing unethical is done, which is it's nice. But then there are other consequences that we deal with in regards to being mysterious and having the mysteries of actually having to deal with a lot of problems ourselves.
Yeah, that's quite a shadowy side of the mystery of being a woman, indeed. I would just like to mention, I hope I'm not wrong. I believe that by men that all the sperm is as well changing once per 3 months. That they have also some kind of cycle, but it's definitely
it's
not
2 days. I think it's 2 days.
That every 2 days it's happening. I believe that every 3 months they have some restart complete. Like, but I'm not 100% sure because those are not my mysteries. Sorry.
No, as far as I know, as far as I know, just medically, sperm is alive for 2 days. Whether there is a larger cycle, I do not know.
Yeah, in a woman's body, in a women's body, it can survive for 2 days. That's what we know as women. Because that that is connected to us. Yeah, but on the other hand, when I just do like, hey, sorry, that's male mysteries, not my thing. Maybe that's exactly the wrong approach to it, because I believe that this way, when we take it from the opposite side, this way we are not maybe getting moving forward with some researches and so on, because there's like, oh, that's a woman's mystery, Nana. Better not. Yeah. Well, okay, maybe we could move to notes that Papaver had. If you don't have any more points to talk about the pill, and about that we basically all have negative experience with it if we experienced it.
Okay. How to put that? We are talking about the celebration of the natural woman cycle, which in Miso traditions is sometimes kind of epitomized into 3 phases, like maiden, mother, crone.
Mm-hmm.
And these are celebrated, and these are to be celebrated. But as far as I know, there are quite a few women who can be mothers. There are women who don't want to be mothers. So how are they to deal with that? And then moving even further, there's nowadays a kind of problem with the 3rd phase of the crone too, because our lives get longer and the women stay very active for much longer, and there are women who are kind of not happy to turn into crone, to put it like that, when they are 48, 50, 52. This topic was dealt with quite a few years ago by Dávný obyčej, if you remember that Czech organization, and they actually tried to squeeze another category in between mother and crone, but they never got any results. They just believe that there's something missing for the women who live in the today's world, because when you stop bleeding, you are supposed to change, but then you stay changed into a crone for 30 years. Maybe it's a very long period, and when you are 48, 50, 52, you don't really want to go into it. So that was my note, that this is a natural cycle, but maybe not everybody is kind of willing or wanting or happy to celebrate it. It was more a question, yeah.
Yeah, I met it as well quite often in different groups of women, that there was kind of a 4th part of the growing of or changing of the woman added. Quite often there's, because of those are women with whom I was talking, let's say 5 years ago or even now, but some of them don't have children, and they are trying to put their mind around that you have the maiden phase, but that's kind of a phase before you start menstruating. And then you have the mother phase the whole time when you are menstruating. And then there is a crone phase. And in that time when you already are sexually active, 500 years ago, it would mean that this is a time when you are becoming mother, if it works, if you can. But now, no, now you have 10, 15 years of sexual activity before you actually start even considering that you will become a mother in real, and that you will undergo that really huge transformation. And very, very important thing, I believe that if you can decide for yourself, if you can have children, it should be your decision if you want to have children. But yeah, there was definitely that try to put there another part, and that makes total sense, Papaver, for me as well. That in that time between the menopause and really becoming a crone, in kind of like a granny even. Yeah, loads of our moms had their menopause, and then they are waiting another 10 years before they have grandchildren and can be crone in this way. yeah, that definitely how the length of the human life is strengthening, that this is actually not enough to stretch it all over. Plus, we are quite often now talking about 4 phases because of the moon cycle that is very similar to female women cycle at the moment in our lives, even though before women were not menstruating that often, so it was not so much connected to the moon. So yeah, I encountered this kind of ideas as well, definitely. But still, on the other hand, from my perspective, there are those 5 transitions in the women life, as Starhawk writes in her Spiral Dance, and those are being born. That's the first liminal thing that all of us go through. Then menarche, the first period, then being a mother or delivering a baby, which can happen multiple times, always in completely different circumstances, different feelings. You can never prepare for that. And then menopause, to stop being like actively fertile. And then the last one is death, as we all share as human beings. So still, I believe that even though we are trying to put there more phases, even if it was just like by feeling or by birth of our daughter or son, there are in our lives mainly these 3 possibilities of the transitional ritual that we undergo ourselves. There's of course also first sexual encounter, wedding, sometimes divorce. Those are, of course, also transitional rituals, liminal rituals, but you go through them with someone else already. While your period, even though we were talking about that, that's your women lineage and that you go with it to your mom with this information, that's something you experience alone. Your body experience it. The same as delivering the baby, even though, for example, by my birth or by me delivering our daughter, my husband was with me. It was my body that it had to go through it. And these changes are very, very physical. The same with the last period or that time of changing because of becoming a crone. The menopause is very, very long process. And yeah, when it's like all is very, very, very wavy. And that's another thing that we need to talk about that is not talked about enough. And yeah, not only with our mothers, but also with our friends all together. For example, because of I moved already to that stage of mother, I started really thinking of, since my period changed and PMS changed and all these things are a little bit different, I'm thinking already, how will I feel in those, let's say, 20 years when this will be over, or mainly when it will be transitioning, when there will be that liminal time. And that's as well something that I believe is really important to talk about. So like my conclusion for the whole women mysteries is that yes, it is mysterious, we can't pass it on by words. On the other hand, if we talk about it, it might not be that scary, it might be more easy, and it might be less painful somehow, less scary, more comfortable in comparison to the initiation ritual where you're not supposed to know anything and you are really supposed to meet your fears and so on. I believe that these transitions are supposed to be shared and supported by other women among each other, not as Oleander was talking about. I believe that Datura wanted to make one more note about this when other women don't really take it nicely.
Yeah, not really about other women, but I mean generally using someone's femininity or someone's femaleness as something to be used against them. For example, or putting someone's gender, be it like female or male, but we're talking about female now, as a means to make someone other, like as a means to otherness. For example, it happens very often that you hear, are you PMSing? What is wrong with you?
Mhm.
Are you on your period? which is also a way for the language to disassociate the female from, I don't know, being pleasant or agreeable.
Mhm.
And I think it goes hand to hand with not talking about things. When we don't talk about things, they can become a slur, or they can become a way to denigrate something, because it is a taboo, and a lot of swear words and curse words are usually words that denote stuff that we don't talk about. Someone is a prick, for example, or I would say a different word, but we
No,
will try to
Yeah,
be
I think that
friendly.
Twitch might ban us then.
But you know what I mean. We use a lot of curse words that are actually originally meant for things that we don't talk about. And when we find somebody unpleasant and we ask them whether they are on their PMS or whether they have a period, it creates a negative feeling on both sides, because I'm being shamed for something that happens to me, even though my PMS are good. They're fine. I just bloat. But I'm normal.
If I may, if I may, I actually know girls who take that as an excuse when they are mean and horrible. They say, "Sorry, I'm on PMS. You have to excuse me. It's not my fault."
Yeah, well,
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing like when you're taking it as an excuse not to do your, physical education or whatever. You learn as a small girl when you just get it that that's basically the only thing you can use it for. Nobody tells you, oh look, it's such an important part of your life. You can, you can experience so many different things. You can be a mother one day, even if you don't think about it now. Maybe one day it will be important for you. You have so much potential. Like, nobody tells you. My mom didn't tell me that. Mothers of my friends didn't tell them that. You just learn from each other how other people behave. You kind of, I don't want to be kind of left out. I'll behave the way everybody else behave because that's normal. So you learn. I mean, I'm again talking about my background because that's what I observed and that's what I learned. First of all, use it as an excuse. Second of all, you kind of compete in complaining, and your experience can be diminished if it's not like horrible enough or painful enough, or it's too painful, you're overreacting. It's kind of never good enough. It's never, I don't know, it's just, I think it's handled so without empathy and without understanding. And also I wanted to say about the pills, because it's different from you, Datura. You were recommended by a doctor, but me, for example, I took it because I just wanted to take them, and my friends took them because they just wanted to take them. But we kind of thought that menstruation is a problem to resolve. That's kind of the background. The mindset is, oh, that's the issue in your life. That's like a curse. That's something that you have to suffer through every month. There's no positive connotations with it. And then you go to doctor, and doctor is like, yeah, of course, there you go, because that's a problem. It's not a blessing. It's like something difficult to deal with. It's like a punishment, There's this like belief, I don't know from where, but that's what I noticed. Like women in general, the ones that don't really have positive feelings about being a woman or having a period are usually the ones who will behave like that and go for a pill.
If I may just jump back to Datura's point, yeah, well, the word, like in English and German, when something is bloody, it's just like this is something that we don't say in Czech language or in Croatian, in Slavic languages maybe at all, but in English and German, it's bloody. And where is it coming from? Yeah. It's our thing, and as Oleander was talking again about the pill, we take the pill because it's like a fast fix on a problem to not to get pregnant or to have better skin or to have a regular period and so on. And then we need to basically cleanse ourselves to be able to have children. As Papaver was saying, there's so many women who basically decide that they want to have children, but after 10 years on pill. Some of them can't anymore. Some of them can't even if they didn't take pill at all. And then there's this other thing that I believe that this ability to menstruate and to have children, since it's interconnected, it's something that is sacred. That is not to be like being ashamed for, or being ashamed for for that you have PMS and that you are experiencing it in some way, and that you are not constantly like this way, hormonally straight line, but that your cycle is like a little bit wavy, and that you are a little bit like that as a woman. Yeah, I think that we should celebrate that the ability of having kids is so sacred. In the same time, everyone should be able to decide for themselves if they want children. But in general, all these things, also for women who can't have children, all these things need to be more talked about. Need to it will not save the women who would like to have children, but they can't physically themselves. But it can also not to be such a taboo to adopt children and so on. All these things, I believe, also belong to this kind of women mysteries that are not enough talked about, even though now we are more on the social, let's say, level than on the physical level. And yeah, my opinion is just that we should talk about it more, as we are talking about it today. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Papaver, if you wanted to talk about those women who can't have children. If you have in your circles, if you have somebody who's, for example, practicing magic and or witchcraft and they can't have children, if there's some relief, let's say, in practicing magic and in seeing the sacredness of ability to make new life and so on.
Actually, not really. I know a gal who doesn't want to have kids, and all this blood stuff, it just annoys her. So especially when she is in pain, she's not only in pain like we all are, I mean, during the menstruation, but she's also quite angry because, in fact, she doesn't need all that because she doesn't want kids anyway. But other than that, no, not really. But I know maybe I should do a bit of a research. Yeah. As you said, we should talk more about it. Maybe I should talk to these girls because I know about quite a few who have made a decision not to have kids.
Yeah.
They do magic, but now I can only conjecture. I don't really know. No, I don't really know.
Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually one of those. I'm actually one of those. I can, but I don't want to. I never have. And I keep hearing my whole life that once you turn 18, once you turn 20, once you turn 25, once you find a boy, once you turn 30, and it never changed for me. It may change. I may have children at some point, but it's not something I want. But I see my period as a sign that I'm healthy, that my body is working the way it is, and not as something that is happening regardless of what I want or not. I don't see it as my way of being able to have children because that's not on my plan. But I see it as a reflection of me taking care of me and that my body is working the way it is and the way it's supposed to after all these years of abusing it. And I found it beautiful, Oleander, that you said that menstruation is seen as a problem to be solved. And or in my opinion, I finally found a way to actually not see it as a problem, but see it as a monthly check-in of, we're good.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. There
That's
were
a very healthy and very wise approach. Yeah.
There were two things that I wanted to react on. I will have to react now on Datura first, and that means that I will forget the one before, I'm afraid. Well, let's start with the one before. Papa, the women who don't want to have children, there are, of course, women who would like to also just stop having period. And it is something that the doctors can solve today. But you have to go through such a horrible processes, such a horrible psychological talks that no, one day you will change your mind and you will bring us the child. So the humanity can thrive and it can be more and more and more of us because there's not enough of us so far, as we know, and the planet knows it very well. And that's another topic that if we talk about these things, that this might start to be more like open, that some women just have right to not to want to have children and also to not to want to have period at all in their lives. But I'm as well the same way as Datura is, that I like to have this feeling that my body is functioning, that my body is healthy, and to have this monthly check-in. And when I was on the pill, when you are on the pill, you can also choose that you will not menstruate for the whole year or something, that you are just like taking. I've never missed my period. I always wanted to see how is the body doing, and exactly when it was in the blood and it was a mud, I knew that something's wrong. And in those times when I had the period, I always celebrated that sacredness, that like, yes, I'm taking pill to not to get pregnant now, but I'm menstruating and I will quite possibly be able to have children afterwards when I will decide for that. And I was like celebrating this part, at least on the psychological level. Now, when I look backwards to it, I was talking about it in one of my Czech videos a few years ago as well, where I was talking about the pill and so on. It's a bit funny to like basically do a fertility ritual every month and at the same time take the pill. But it worked, kind of. I got pregnant immediately and I have a little baby. But definitely for me as well, the period is kind of a sign that the body is healthy, that is cleansing itself. Like I can't imagine I would feel like we say in Czech, bloated goat. if I would not have a period for the whole year, except when I was pregnant and first half year after it. Yeah, sorry.
You just made me think of something. You said that if you wanted to stop having a menstruation, you'd have to go through an arduous psychological process. I was actually at one point in my life trying to get a UTI, basically not UTI, but like the nitroděložní tělísko. I'm not sure how it is in English, but basically
kind of tea that goes inside.
that goes inside the uterus and prevents a pregnancy. And every doctor that I went to was like, no, we will not do that until you have a kid. And I'm just like, but I don't want to have a kid. That's my point. But it could complicate things for you. And once you have one or two kids, then we can do it for like up until you stop menstruating. That's fine. But before that, no.
When you stop menstruating. Okay.
Yeah. Well, not when you, but until you, like after I have my kids, then I can have.
But somehow it's taken for granted that you will have kids because you're a woman.
Yeah.
That's quite
my point is, I don't want to take hormones, and I don't want to be unsure. You know, if when you have a partner, and I don't want to take hormones. I don't want to take anything inside me that is working on the whole body. I know that if you have like a copper thing inside you, it still has effect like on the spot, but it's still at least on the spot, and it doesn't go through my gastrointestinal system, doesn't go through my blood if it's a patch or something. And it's something that I don't actually have to worry about every time or every day or no, up until I have 2 kids, nobody will do it.
So in a way, our society, it's funny how our society is kind of very advanced with the pills and pharmacy and stuff like that. And at the same time, so old fashioned because you're a woman, so you will have kids.
Yeah, indeed. I have to say though that maybe in Ireland they could help you, because me and Oleander, we have a common friend who has this tea inside, and if it's interesting for anyone, I was talking with her after she went for all the checks, if it's working for her and so on, and then she got it in, And afterwards, she was saying that for a week it was like the worst feelings, like a pains of period, but the worst in her life. And since then, all okay. Yeah, of course. For me personally, it would be quite a problem to kind of think that something is inside for all the time, even though I'm using menstrual cup and this kind of things. So like during the period, there is something inside. Yeah, that would really not be for me. But I was talking to my doctor actually about just let's say a month ago, about different possibilities if I don't want to take hormones, and he basically says that there are other things that are though not really good for the is it flora inside for the pH and so on for women. So basically condom, and if it breaks then the after pill are the safest way if you don't want to be on hormones nowadays, which is not really. On the other hand, condoms are also against and other things, not just against kids. So
Well,
so that's the good thing on them, on this thing. Yeah.
yeah, but then imagine you have a partner, you live with somebody, and then you're perhaps hypothetically very active. Using a lot of condoms gets expensive and it gets tiresome, and it you still have to think about it.
You can buy them in bulk.
And you can even have allergy on it.
Yeah, but that's a problem that should be solved. Not periods in general, but like a problem of not toxifying the female body. There should be a way to have something similar for men that is not invasive as a vasectomy, but it's in some way an option as well, so that there's like two sides. So the birth control responsibility does not fall solely on the female body.
That's interesting, especially because you said that most of the medicine is tested on men, and it's kind of more safe or secure, or it's more common to test medicine on men. So it would just maybe be logical to make something for them as well.
But then again, if I'm a little bit misandrist at this point, without meaning to be, if most of the medicine is in the hands of men, then why would men technically emasculate themselves?
On the other hand, when they would just like slow down the stuff.
No, but still, if you have like stereotypes about women being in a foul mood when they have their periods, there are stereotypes for men that are, oh, he shoots, he scores, and yeah, mine are swimmers, and you know that there is a culture that I've noticed among men that is very proud of their fertility and their ability to procreate, and the fact that they don't shoot blanks.
While we women are not taking our bodies and periods as sacred, and that's the big problem. Yeah. Yeah, we should be more proud of our ability to provide life, to bring life. Yeah, sorry, I kind of led it a little bit different way to my big thought.
I think that's a nice period behind the sentence. It's beautiful what you said.
Yeah, well, okay, girls, we are actually talking nearly for an hour and a half, so maybe this could be slowly a period or end over the whole chat, if it's okay for you. Or would you like to add something on? No.
I think I've said enough.
Oh, the silence. Okay, well, yeah, the chat wasn't really that much active today, so hopefully next time, again, we will see more questions and so on from you. This is just another proof of not opening these topics enough, I think, in our society, and making them all kind of sticky. Yeah. Well,
but I think it's good we did.
Yeah, well, yeah, I believe as well. I believe that hopefully you will enjoy this talk on YouTube, those who didn't join us today on Twitch. Yeah. And yeah, you can be looking forward for more things and for more articles and chapters on women mysteries, at least from my side, if not from some others. But on the other hand, actually, Papaver writes a lot about not totally women mysteries, but now your upcoming article on the Shekinah and on goddess ish things. That's as well. That's that kind of a very spiritual level of this. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the next issue as well. While for this issue, I already know what is there. Yeah, and thank you very much, so girls, for coming today and for having notes since I didn't prepare much for this chat and for having insights. Yeah, Darklify is texting also. Thank you very much. So thank you for being here, for watching us,
Thank you.
even though without questions for today. And have a lovely evening. And yeah, to see you again in our Garden of Femme Occulte some other time. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.